Hello everyone, in this video we're going to be taking a look at Phoenix Linux. This is at the Alpha 2 stage of development and is rather interesting for many reasons. So I'm going to be quite generous to it. I'm going to give it 4 gigs of RAM. How much hard drive space shall we give it? I'll give it the usual dosage of 16 gigs. And let's find out where I've put it. Right underneath that one. There it is. So right, that ISO is loaded. Let's just go ahead and boot it up. Now, after I get past this stage, this is usually the part where I start reading out all the interesting facts about the system. Once it loads. Right, so that's going to take a while. Let's just read out the interesting facts then while it's deciding whether it's going to work or not. So it's based on Ubuntu 16.04. It's a continuation of the Cub Linux project that has now been abandoned. Although, if you're watching this in the future, maybe they have brought that project back to life, but this is basically a continuation of that one anyway. So it's made to mimic Chrome OS, much like Cub Linux did as well, and the website states that it can be used on old or new computers. Now, although I couldn't find a 32-bit thing on there, well, that's interesting, it's come up with Ubuntu anyway on that boot screen. Oh dear. Did I have the virtualization drivers? What am I talking about? Yeah, no. Let's try to reset that VM. Oh dear, oh dear. I'm not entirely convinced this is going to work. Maybe I should go to the UI. What do they call it these days? Not BIOS, it's UEIF, and see if the virtualization is enabled. Usually though it'll work anyway on a 64-bit version. How weird. Come on. It's funny, it thinks it's Ubuntu as well. So yeah, as I was saying, where did I get up to? Apparently it can be used on old or new computers according to their website. I'm assuming that means that they've got a 32-bit version. Oh, and what you know, it's working this time. And the OS uses the OpenBox window manager as well, which basically means it's fast. Now, shall we try it or shall we install it? Last time I tried to boot up a Linux distro in the live CD mode, it did what it just did a minute ago. So I'm not entirely convinced that will work, but I'm going to just go ahead and install it. Because why not? I've given it 16 gigs of space on here anyway. I'll install the third-party software simply because sometimes that helps with VMs. Right, where was I on the list? The list. Yes, so it uses the OpenBox window manager. Basically means it's very fast and simple, basically. So good for first-time users. And this is basically like the Ubuntu setup. Right. Least secure password in the world as usual, because I'm probably only going to use this once, although I don't know, I might use it a few more times after that. Yeah, as it says on there, it's a continuation of Cub Linux. Hang on, it says welcome to Cub Linux on there. I suppose because this is the Alpha 2 stage in development, isn't it? So it's not going to recognise it. Oh, what was I thinking? I was thinking this was a full version, but no, because it's an Alpha 2 stage in development, it still thinks it's Cub Linux, which is understandable. I mean, let's face it, in Windows development, for example, in the early stages, like even in Windows Neptune, which I've got a video on my channel, which was an abandoned project that came out just after Windows 2000. The interesting thing about that was, well, I think it came out after Windows 2000. Yeah, well, anyway, the interesting thing about that was it still thought it was Windows 2000, even though it's a different project. So that's probably why it thinks it's Cub Linux now. And I presume it's the same sort of thing for Linux anyway, because I've been looking at Linux for quite a while now. And yeah, it's got some similarities to Windows in its development processes. So, what already talks about the open box window manager. Basically, a fast and easy to use desktop environment. And from the time of recording, the latest Phoenix Linux is at the Alpha 2 stage in development. Hasn't even got to beta stages yet, so unsurprising that it hasn't changed much since the old Cub Linux distro. Now, obviously, if you're watching this in the very far future, then you will obviously, well, maybe if this project has got to its final stages and is being released as a 1.0 release, then it's probably going to be a hell of a lot different from this. But for now, let's just wait for this to load. I'm looking forward to seeing the desktop environment, because the setup process is basically like the Ubuntu one. And as soon as I've talked through all the features now, I think it's about time that I speed up the video, so you don't have to wait around for this to finish. So the installation is complete. Need to restart the computer. Let's just do that now. Now I'm assuming it does what Ubuntu does as well, where it automatically unmounts the virtual ISO file. And yes, it has, even though it says remove the installation medium, it's removed it by itself. So let's just go ahead and restart. Which is a usual weird thing that Linux likes to do. Okay, so I assume we're going to get to a logon screen in a minute. Although I said log on automatically, so... yes. Right, so now we've got to the desktop. See, applications. So the application finder down there opens this window, which I haven't used Chrome OS in a few years. I thought it opened a sort of like weird start menu thing. But yeah, I'll treat this as a sort of start menu anyway. So it's got Google Drive on there, the Chromium web browser. So you sort of have to select things and then launch them individually. Oh, the application Chromium thingy has closed unexpectedly. Shall we try to relaunch it? Don't think that's going to work. Shall we try to go into YouTube? Oh. How about Control Panel? Right, so Control Panel opens this window here. Let's have a look, users and groups. See if we've got a guest account, shall we? And it's got Penguin on there, because obviously Linux, and people who create Linux like penguins for some reason. Screen lock settings. Oh, because I don't know why it's open 3. I just double clicked on that. Shall I try that again? See if I click it once. Oh, so it's single click. Obviously, I'm so used to double click these days on Windows. What shall we go on to? About me, shall we? Change wallpaper. Now there was one nice one of Earth in orbit. I believe they've taken it from the International Space Station, so hoping that I can put that one on there. It's one of some mountings. Well, I must say I like what they've done with the open box window manager, because usually they've got a sort of dark theme on this, from my knowledge anyway. Oh, there's a Planet Earth one. Put that one on. Because usually, oh, that's lovely. It's got a sort of darker theme on the open box window manager thing, but not this time. Shall we change the theme? So we've got Chrome OS, Clear Looks, sort of like a Ubuntu one. Industrial. Hang on. That sort of reminds me of the Windows Classic theme. Ubuntu Dark Panel. Oh dear, I didn't even launch it that time. Oh no, I did, didn't I? Because I pressed YouTube. Let's leave that closed. Don't really use Chromium very often for that reason. Mist. Rally. That looks very sort of Windows Classic. I think though, that is an early Linux thing. Especially Redmond. I wonder where Microsoft... I think Microsoft actually have their HQ in Redmond, so that is very Windows Classic-esque. That might be a sort of Easter egg there. So shall we go back to the Chrome OS one? Or Clear Looks. Alright, sorry about that. I had an interruption. Let's just continue on. So there are quite a few customization options on there. Quite nice. I think quite a bit of this though might be left over from the old Cub Linux. Management. So there are quite a few settings on there, backup and restore as well. And you see you've even got a firewall. I mean, I like that picture from the ISS. And it's funny how, it's quite unusual really. I wonder if, close that again. Yeah, so it comes up with this window instead of a traditional sort of start menu thing. And I do like that. But yeah, I would sort of prefer it if it was more down there, like they usually are. Yeah, and it's got quite a few interesting features on there. Shall we try to go to the software centre and get something from there? Oh, Ubuntu Software Centre. That hasn't been changed a bit. When it decides to load, that is. I'm going to try to do the usual thing, which is either installing VLC or installing Firefox. Because I like Firefox. And then we can see if it can actually, obviously, load something like a proper web browser, or whether it's just I've got a dodgy installation of Chromium on this one. Let's just Firefox. There we are. Firefox web browser. The apps basket. Presume this is how you do it. Oh, here we go. Install packages. Will it do it? I'll just wait for that to sort of go over to there if it does do something. Oh, you need to enter your password. Oh. Well, I just have. Okay, I'll do it again then. There we are. Just moving that about then, because I thought there might be another one underneath it. But that seems to have downloaded it nice and fast, and I think there is terminal window which momentarily opens. But because it goes so quickly, I can't even see what it is. Oh, look, there's another one there. Right, so I believe that well, that's installed. There we are. let's go here then, and up to internet, and see if we can launch Firefox. Or whether it's a... oh no, well you can launch Firefox, but it doesn't want to launch Chromium. And we've got this nice theme on it as well. Although that might be Firefox's own theme. But yeah. Let's try to go to Google and make sure they can connect. Yes, it can. So there must have been something wrong with the installation of Chromium on this one, because obviously Firefox can load up just fine, and it can get to can get to a website like Google, for example, just fine. And well, I believe that's just about it, really. I presume these well, this Gmail one is an SSB, or site-specific browser. But I don't think that's going to load, because it's going to try to open with that dodgy Chromium, which is the browser that it's going to try to open with. So, I mean, it has got quite a few nice, well, it has got quite a few nice pre-installed programs. Google Docs, I didn't even know they made that for Linux. And it did say that there's an option for it to come with LibreOffice, but I haven't seen that down here, like a LibreOffice install file or whatever. But, oh well. I mean, I guess if you wanted something like LibreOffice or whatever, you could do what I just did with Firefox and just get off the Ubuntu Software Center. And, I mean, I'm not going to blame it for Chromium crashing, because at the end of the day, this is an Alpha 2 build. And when things are at the Alpha 2 stage in development, there's very little change from, obviously, the previous release. So, as you could obviously tell, the installer was very similar to Ubuntu, and the actual installation windows with, well, it had the Cub Linux branding on it still. So, I mean, I'm not going to obviously scrutinise it, but they've got a long way to go with this development, and I do like it. I like this sort of Chrome OS look. And once it's complete, then I'll most probably end up installing this on one of my computers, because it's a sort of cloudish based operating system, which basically means that it's very nice on old hardware. So, I believe that's basically it for today. Let's see if I can find out how to shut it down, which is always a pain in these weird systems. We've got a startup disk creator. Oh, so you need to press on the penguin icon, and then it obviously comes up with this power off thing. I think it does anyway. Let's try that again. Now let's go to switch user and see if this is similar to the Ubuntu. I think that's similar to the Ubuntu one. Haven't used it in quite a while though, so not quite sure. I think it's different actually. Right, well, let's just power off then. And that's basically it for this video. If you enjoyed it, then I'm very happy. And if you have any suggestions, then please feel free to leave them down in the comments. And also, if you want to support my channel, you can do so, not by giving it any money, but by simply subscribing to it, so it gives me some more motivation. And, well, that's about it. So, until the next video, it's gone away. Until the next video, goodbye.